Well, I really thought I knew what I was going to be reviewing today, but I think I didn't. So we're going to be learning about this together. Hey everybody, it's Chris from Family Geekery, and today we're going to be taking a look at a product. It is a Yehua model LD36, and it says it's a 2-in-1 USB to HD cable. So, a little backstory. I got contacted by a company. They said, hey, we'd like to send you a demo unit for you to do a review on for your channel. And I get these all the time. I promise you I don't take all the demo units that are offered to me. I usually only take ones that I think would benefit my audience. So I took a look at this and I read the product page. And I thought, yes, there is some applications that people that watch my channel could definitely use this. So that's what I thought I knew about the product, and then it showed up, and now it's a little bit different. So we're going to learn together about this product, and like I always tell you guys, I do honest reviews. I tell the companies up front that I'm going to do an honest review, and they don't get to see the review until after it's published. So let's figure this thing out together. Now up at the top here, we've got a thing that says mirror screen. And what I know about mirror screen is usually a wireless dongle that you plug into your TV set, and then you can cast to it. There's plenty of devices like that. It's similar to a Chromecast, exactly how a Chromecast works. But this is a cable. I had no idea that this mirror screen would come in a cable form. So what I thought I was getting was just simply a USB or Lightning, and I apologize for the little sticker here that's covering up the picture of the Lightning adapter, but I thought it was going to be a USB-C or Lightning adapter to HDMI. Very simple. And I've got cables like this. In fact, here's one that I've had for years. USB-C on one side, HDMI on the other. Plug this into a phone, tablet, etc., or a laptop. Plug this into the TV, boom, you're on the TV. But this is saying it uses Miracast. So reading through the instructions real quick, it's a little bit different than just a standard cable. So there may be some benefits to it, there may be some awkwardness to it, and we're going to kind of learn that together. So I've got a couple test devices that I'm going to be plugging this into. I've got a 4K monitor here that I'll be using to test it out with, and let's see what this thing can do. So I've got the cable out here, but let's take a real quick look at the back of the box here real quick. So we've got a TV here, and we've got our device on the right hand side, and you can see that we're plugging in the Lightning or USB-C cable to our device. We're plugging in the HDMI cable to our TV, and then we've got this also USB power cable that's going to plug into your charger. So I'm guessing that this will hopefully keep your device charged while it's playing. So let's say you've got some Netflix or something on here that you're playing to your TV and you don't want your phone to die. So I'm guessing that's what that is. Now this also may be powering whatever's inside here, because I don't think it's just a regular old HDMI cable. So the product function says HD adapter for iPhone, iPad, mirroring, and charging. So it looks like it's doing exactly what I thought it was going to do. So let's look at the cable itself. And first impressions of the cable, it's nice and braided, so that's nice. We've got the HDMI side here that has both leads coming out. So the two leads, let me untangle this here. One's going to be for the USB charging, which is this one, and then one's going to be for your device. And it's plenty long. You don't have to have this thing right next to your TV. You can have it sitting on a table next to it, as I'm dragging stuff across my table here. And it's got a adapter that we can go either Lightning or USB-C. So that's handy, and it's tethered on there so you're not going to lose it, so that's good. And they're completely separate cables coming out of here, so that if your charger is nowhere near where you want your phone or tablet, that's nice. So you can have the one cable going off to, your wall outlet, and then the other one coming up to a coffee table where you have your device. So physically, it's a nice device. Let's go ahead and test it out with something now and see how it works. So the first test is going to be using just a regular old Android phone, and this is my Google Pixel 4 XL, and you've seen this on the channel before, testing out games and stuff. So just a regular Android device, USB-C connector on it. Now I've plugged in the HDMI cable just to this little adapter here, which gives it down to mini HDMI, and I've got the power cable, the USB power cable, plugged into a power bank, which is giving it the 2 amps it needs. And this is what we see here. We got a screen up here that says, hey, you can scan this to get the manual. But obviously I've got nothing plugged into it yet. So there's something going on inside this dongle. So let's see what happens when we plug this into the phone. And according to the instructions, it says it's going to require an app. And it says, no installed apps, work with this USB accessory, learn more. And it's giving me an option here to download from the Play Store. And it's just an app called Mirroring. So let's go ahead and install this. Now the other cable that I used before, I just plugged it in here, plugged it into there, and the screen just came up. So this is obviously doing and requiring a little bit more. So according to the instructions, it had guidance on how to answer all these questions. The first thing it wants to know is the device's location. That's a little strange. It said to allow while using the app. I'm not going to answer that. I'm just going to say don't allow. I don't know why it would need my location. It wants to know if it wants to send notifications. I don't need any notifications. I don't need to manage my phone calls. And I don't think I need it to do any of this stuff here. It says to allow. I'm just going to try not to. To install the app for the first time, please replug the USB data cable. Okay, so we'll unplug that. That's the power cable. Let's try this one too. And open mirroring. Now it recognizes that it has an app that can allow mirroring. Start recording or casting with mirroring. Mirroring will have access to all your information that is visible on your screen or played through your device while recording and casting. Okay. And it wants to know my device location again. Let's say no. Let's say no. Okay, well, we got something on the screen now, at least. Alright, so let's actually try to play, let's say, a YouTube video through here. Let's see what this one's all about. So I've got the volume turned off. Just test to see if the volume is coming through. Alright, so the volume does work. I'm going to keep that turned off just in case. And it's doing what it's supposed to do. So it is mirroring. Let me see if I can get this pause screen off. Alright, here we go. It's actually playing something now. So it's definitely mirroring what's on the screen. It doesn't look like there's too much lag. It looks pretty close. So if it's doing anything wirelessly inside here, that's the only thing I could think of by using the term mirrorcast. You know, because it says it right on our mirror screen, because it says it right on the box. I thought maybe it's transmitting wirelessly through the cable into here and broadcasting it to itself. But it just kind of looks like it's working. And I'm not exactly sure why, in this case, we need an app to make this work, when the other cable, I just plug it in and it works. But we see that it's working, so let's go ahead and test out a different device. Alright, so next up I've got an iPad mini 5, which is a Lightning device. So we're going to plug this in and see what happens. So now I'm using the Lightning adapter. And plug it in. First thing I wanted to see is if it's charging. And it says not charging. power brick is definitely putting out enough juice. So maybe it's just not charging as much as it thinks it is. And the first thing it asks is, do you trust? Do you trust your settings and data will be accessible from this computer when connected wirelessly using a cable or using a cable. So in the instructions it said to click trust. Now I've got to put in a passcode. And so far I'm not seeing anything. Oh, there it goes. So I didn't have to download an app. And you can see tiny bit of latency, but not too bad. And let's throw YouTube up there and see if I'm a little better at using this iOS device than I was at using the Android device. And right now, so it says it's connected to AirPlay, which is interesting because I'm going through a cable, I guess, to that wireless device that's broadcasting to itself. And now it's working like an AirPlay is. So you can see that this screen is different than this screen. So it thinks that it's casting to a device, which is similar to what it would look like if you were using this and casting to like an Apple TV. So I'm wired in, but it's wirelessly casting, but it is working. And it works well, so I didn't have to download anything. I didn't have to give it my location. I didn't have to trust it with too much stuff, I don't think. So in that case, yes, it looks like it's working. Alright, the next thing I wanted to try while I was still hooked up to this, again, this iPad Mini 5, a Lightning device, is using the Netflix app. So according to the instructions, it says that this cable will not work with any kind of content or app that uses HDCP, which is basically the copy protection that runs over HDMI so that you can't hook up like a DVD player or a Blu-ray player to a recorder and record, make duplicates of your DVDs. So it specifically listed Netflix as one of the apps that would not work. So I'm just wanted to try it and see. And it does say cannot play this title. So let me just randomly select another title. And I'm getting the same result. So I'm guessing they're correct. And it listed out all the apps like HBO, Amazon Prime, Netflix, that kind of stuff. So really, YouTube will work, but most of the other kind of streaming apps won't, which is a strange choice for this type of device. I understand the concept behind it. I understand that they don't want you to be able to copy something, but it's a strange choice. So let's go ahead and test some other things. So the next thing I'm going to try is an iPad Mini 6, and it said in the instructions that this won't work. It listed out the iPad Mini 6, the iPad Pro, and the iPad Air 5, which are all USB-C devices. Now this is saying right up front here, do you want to trust this device? This looks exactly like it did when I clicked on the Lightning app, or the Lightning device. So I hit trust, I put in the passcode, and alright, so there we got something. It's upside down, but we got something. So let me see if I can get out of here, flip it around. Alright, so that's working. Go back into Netflix and it's upside down. So there we go, so that's working. So let's just see if the same thing happens when I click play on the Netflix app. Yep, same error. Alright, so we know that won't work, but it looks like the screen is working. So let's go ahead and load up YouTube. Let's just click on a random video here. See some network chuck. And it is working. So it does, in fact, work on a USB-C device. That's an iOS device that uses USB-C. So possibly the iPad Pro, possibly the iPad Air 5. but it's definitely working on this iPad Mini 6. Alright, the next important thing I want to show you is this mirroring app. I'm back on the Android phone again. This mirroring app does have software updates. It's able to update the firmware in the device. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to update this firmware. I'm not sure what it will change, but let's go ahead and do that. And then I've got a couple more things to try out. And you can see it updating. The app says that it's installing the firmware. The screen is actually reflecting that, so that's pretty nice. Alright, so next up, I've got the phone hooked up still, the Google Pixel phone. And if you've been watching the channel lately, then you know I've done a lot of tests with this phone with some online stream gaming and also some native Android. So this is Grand Theft Auto 3, just a native Android app. I've got the Stadia controller, which I also did a video on how to get this hooked up to Bluetooth. And I just wanted to see how this thing would react to some gaming. So I'm going through the phone to the TV, and there is a little bit of lag, but not a lot of lag. But I think more importantly, there's an awful lot of artifacting going on. So on the screen, and I don't know how well it's coming out on the recording, but the whole screen is just glitching. And I wouldn't think it should have to do that, but again, it's doing some kind of wacky wireless transmission inside the cable to itself. So maybe that has something to do with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cable out, pop in just the standard USB-C to HDMI cable, and see if it reacts the same way. It could just be the phone and this screen not liking each other. So let me test that out. Alright, so my mistake. I forgot that the Google Pixel does not allow USB out to display. I remember that now, but I didn't remember that a couple seconds ago. So instead, I've got this iPad Mini 6 USB device again, USB-C device, and I'm going straight in with just that USB to HDMI cable. So I'm going to try this out first, and then I'm going to go back to the mirror screen cable and try that out. So this is, again, just USB-C coming out of the iPad Mini 6 to the display, and everything looks good. No screen tearing, no artifacting. Pretty good latency. So let me go ahead and switch this cable over and try it with the other. Alright, I unplugged the one cable, plugged the other one back in, and it came straight up. It didn't ask me to retrust or anything. It didn't ask me to download any more apps. So let's go ahead and get the game going and see how it looks. Like I said, that could have just been an Android thing that was happening before. And so far this looks good. So the same control latency is still good. The screen is clear without any kind of artifacts or tearing. So that was probably just a problem with that Android device. So let's test out a couple more things. So I think I may have figured out, after testing all these things out, what exactly this cable is for, what it's meant to be used for. And it's simply my mistake for not knowing this up front. Like I said, I read through all the marketing material and tried to figure out what it was that it was intended to do. But I think it's just my lack of always using Android phones. I'm usually using iOS devices, so I'm not always using Android phones and Android devices as much. And I think that's where it was my mistake. So let me just summarize a couple things here for you. So if this was my everyday phone, this Android Google Pixel was my everyday phone, then I would have known already up front that I can't just hook a cable into this and pop it up on my big screen. So maybe I want to watch some YouTube on my big screen and I don't have a smart TV. I can't just plug in the USB-C to HDMI and make it work. We just proved that, and I reminded myself that that does not work. So my options at that point is we get a Samsung phone maybe. Samsung does let you do that. It does let you get into a DeX mode also. So that's one option. But Google, what they really want you to do is they want you to buy the Chromecast and plug the Chromecast into the TV and then cast from here to that device. Now, it doesn't have to be a Chromecast. Of course, Google makes it. Google makes this phone. That's the preferred method. But if you buy any kind of, in this case, mirror screen type device that allows you to cast to it, then yes, I would plug that into my TV. I would cast from my phone to that TV, and now I'm watching something. So it is all wireless. So that is kind of a pain in the butt because you have to go to that, input and probably sync something on here to the thing that's on there and make it all work. And I think that this solution, this type of cable, was made for two reasons. One, it's got the built-in charging thing, and on this Android phone, it did actually work. When I plugged it in, it did show that it was charging on here while it was casting to the TV. So that's one thing that it solves by having that USB-A connector on there. And the other thing it solves is now all I'm doing is just plugging in a cable. I don't have to go into any kind of cast settings or any kind of connect or sync between the TV and the phone. I'm just plugging this into the phone. It's keeping it charged and using that once it finds that cast app. Now here that we're back at the home screen again, what I'm noticing is you can see the screen is artifacting, pixelating. Something just isn't working right on this Android. Everything seemed to work fine on the iOS devices, but this one is just not working as well as I think it should be. So to kind of summarize everything that we learned here together on this video, let's say iOS devices, both the Lightning and the USB-C devices, they worked fine to the screen. Now, we couldn't get like Netflix to play through it, but we were able to get the screen to pop up there right away. So if you're just looking to mirror some apps and maybe do some YouTube, then that's going to work completely fine. Even had the game going, and it worked just fine. Now with the Android, I'm afraid that much like a lot of Android stuff, it may just depend on your device. Your device may work perfectly fine with this, whereas this Pixel XL just had some trouble in a couple different categories. So I'm not sure if I can fully recommend the experience that I had here with the Android, because first of all, you have to download an app, and then sometimes the app would work, sometimes the app didn't work, and then the whole screen pixelating thing. I would think if you're going to watch a video like that, then that may be a real problem. So really, with the iPads, they worked fine, but with the iPad, you don't need a fancy device like this to wirelessly transmit to itself. You can just use one of those USB-C to HDMIs. Now, when it comes to the Lightning version, those aren't near as, I guess, cheap and easy to get to. You'd have to get a Lightning to HDMI adapter, which they make, and Apple makes one. I'm sure third parties make them also, and that may be the way to go. So in the end, I do want to thank Yehua, and I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, for sending this LD36 cable and letting me try it out. We definitely learned a lot of things about it, and I'm not sure if it's a cable that I can use in the future, but perhaps there was something on this video that you saw that you could use it for, and it may work perfectly for you. So if you'd like some more information about this cable, I will leave both the link in the description below and a link to the company's webpage so you can read all about it and maybe learn some things that we didn't even learn on this video. But I do want to thank you for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, don't forget to give me that thumbs up. If you like this type of stuff and want to see more reviews, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, peace out and geek out.